Dang, bro, full winter coat in the inside the house.
Oh man, I got socks on.
Hey, that's me. That's actually not shocking. I'm definitely a socks on in the house person. You know what though? I just now realized that there are people who are absolutely not.
What? I'm normally not.
All right, here's for real.
Yeah.
In the crib.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm from that put some socks on, boy, family. You know what I'm saying? It's cold. Put some socks on. It's like, fine, damn. You're gonna get sick. That's funny. Allergies is kicking in for you, huh?
Man, yeah. It's neti pot season.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about waterboarding myself.
Neti, are you ready?
I know it's Claritin season, that's for sure. It's some work.
You want to know the cold part of the game is that I think I'm allergic to Claritin.
Oh. That's
about
L.
the dumbest thing I could possibly say.
That's an L. That is an entire L. That's an F minus on the report card. You ain't passing none of that. 30% score. Word up. So this is the opening question. I asked it on Facebook, so I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
Okay, so are you infuriated when people yell when you're in a car with them? You don't have to be driving. You could be in any seat in the car, but when people like either scream lyrics to songs or have like major dramatic outbursts to things that they read or see, you know what I'm saying? How do you react to that?
I don't know if I would use the word infuriated. Aggressively irritated, yes.
Okay.
How do I react? Irritated. It depends, because, it's not, it's not like back in the day where, friends or whatever in the car,
Mm-hmm.
Like people who I'd be very comfortable just pulling over and say, you're gonna have to find another ride.
For real.
Like I tell you what, I'll pull up to the bus stop and then you can figure it out from there.
Right, yeah.
Pull up next to this here payphone and let you sort it out.
Right?
Just slow down to about 10 miles an hour and say, hey, you got Uber on your phone, right? Skirt.
These days, right? Yeah.
But, so nowadays, and I say that to say that I, driving around my kid or my wife or, God forbid, both of them. So I don't react. I try not to react crazy because what happens is I know that if we're driving for a little while, everything's going to calm down. The kid's going to fall asleep. My wife is going to say everything that she has to say. The problem is that's not the case in the first 5 minutes of the drive. When we leave the house and we're about to get on the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and to answer your question, no, if I'm not driving, I don't care. I'll go to sleep or I'll get up and jump out of the car. But, yeah. So in that first 5 minutes, it's probably also me not listening to anybody while we're in the house and I can ignore them. It's easy to ignore them. It's like we get in the car, it's an enclosed space, and then, boy, I'm just getting all the business, all the updates, just while I'm trying to merge onto the freeway and through 14 lanes of traffic, right? I'm like, it's not that hard, but at the same time, it's like, I don't, I could use some quiet, but I have sort of snapped. And then what ends up happening is that the rest of the ride, which is relatively straightforward, once you don't have a semi crawling up your ass or whatever, you can talk all you want after that. But yeah, so if I flip out, then it's like, then the whole ride is screwed up. It's like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that does happen every so often is that if she's looking at her phone or something like that and something comes up or she sees something off the side of the road, she doesn't realize that she can't react the same way she would react if she saw that and we were on the bus or the train or whatever, like, you know, some other, because she'll do that. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to get us all killed.
What is that?
I don't know.
Why is that a thing? I'm always like, yo, what? Why would you do that? It doesn't make.
Well,
any
this is
sense.
what I want to ask. And you obviously have the freedom to not answer. Who are you talking about? 'Cause I've just made it very clear who I'm talking about.
Nah, I'm at the stage in my life where I pick up teenagers from school.
Oh yeah, no,
And it's like, and you know, here's the thing. And I'm gonna kind of roll on, piggyback a little bit on what you said. Like, one of the things I'm learning about maybe the reaction about my father is, like you said, if you react a certain way, the whole ride is messed. So it's like everyone in the world can be angry about something or have an emotion or reaction to something. But if you do it, then it shuts the planet. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so I don't have the space or room to be upset about anything, right? And now I recognize, like, my father just sitting on the couch staring at that. Like, don't say a word to me about nothing. Because I know that he was probably fully in his right to be mad and was basically told that if he's mad, then the world has ended, right? So I carry this with me, right? So I'm rolling. You know, teenagers are not the worst people I've been in the car with in this situation. It brought me back to a circumstance, and I'm gonna try to be like, I'm gonna try this or whatever. I'm gonna end up sort of telling them. So I'm in my brother at the end of the night thought I was angry with a different situation, but I was completely infuriated with the drive to and from where we were going. Remember the night I told you about where the dude his girl requested a song. It was the end of the night. We couldn't play the song, or wouldn't have played it anyway, but couldn't play it because the night was over and the dude almost got in a fight with my brother and me.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Same night, right? So it's already a little like, I mean, the night was cool, right? Family in the building, it's all good. But then we riding home and this person is screaming. I mean, not rapping, screaming lyrics to a song that I already don't like, all the way from Fullerton to my parents' crib in West Covina. That's a 20-minute drive? I say like 13 minutes of the drive was just screaming, right?
You were driving?
I mean, I was driving. And when I say screaming, I don't mean like I'm talking like, I don't even know how to explain. It was like,
to be clear, I assume you're not saying this person's name for obvious reasons, but this is not a person who was in the next car over yelling so loud that it was annoying you.
In the car. Like, it's going down. And I'm like, so my thing is this. I'm like, all right. In the same, and I'm telling you the story to kind of merge it back into it. So I don't want, like the wife outburst thing, I guess it's universal, right? Like, it's like, dude, come on. But I don't want to spoil the kids' good time. I don't want you to get in my car and it's like, Mr. Bruner, you can't, like, I don't want to be like that, right? So I'm kind of like, but it's like, but what makes it worse is like, then everybody is out of the car and now my child don't have nothing to say. Like, I'm talking to this person who can't even make a noise. I'm like, okay, well, so it's this combination of fatherhood and being a husband and whatever. So it's all of that. Like, I don't want to spoil the good time. I don't want to change the whole ride. Like I just explained, we just do, right? So it's probably like suppression. Like, It's probably a combination of everything. Like, yo. Oh.
It's pressure.
Man.
You let the pressure build up. Like my
Pipes
daughter's
busted.
old enough now where she's starting to think she knows how to drive. So she'll ask me questions about, and she's not rude about it, but at the same time I'm like, shut up. Like, why are you in this lane? I'm like, 'cause I am.
Yeah.
Be quiet. But some of the questions, when she has a good question, this is what kills me. I'm like, I don't want to be like, stop asking stupid questions, right? But she's 11. She's barely 11. Most of the questions she's asking about driving are not terribly well-informed questions. Every so often, however, she will ask one that's like, that's a good question. This is why. And then the second I start answering her question, guess what happens? She stops listening to me.
Hey, well, okay.
And which is great for her because she's in the back seat. I'm not looking at her. So I'm just talking. And I look back and she's sleeping.
Yeah, parenthood is wild. It's wild. Teenagers are wild for one reason that's different than when because I have a teenager and I got an 8-year-old. So I had this real comparison contrast. Like the 8-year-old is asking questions that I'm like, all right, come on, man. Like, you're gonna have to like ask better questions, like write them down, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, right? But it's cool because I can catch myself and recognize that she's a child. But your teenager gets a little, at least mine, gets the annoyance is that teenagers like to say things as though they can psychoanalyze you. Like now they're trying to break you down as a person. You know what I mean? Well, and you be like, you know, like, I will dog walk you. Dude, what are we doing right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, hold up. Do you know that I can snatch you up and murder you right now? Like, just say, it's not that hard for me to do this.
Oh, man. Just all the things I have to look forward to. Just the...
Oh, my God.
Daddy, did you not get a good night's sleep last night? It's like, no, I slept great. You're just annoying me.
No, it's like... Well, you know, because you, and they'll finish the sentence, like, you like to do this. And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So it's cool because you know that I have a good sense of understanding, much better than my parents, at least my father, of understanding that these are young, kind of adult minds in a sense, right? Like they're able to process information on a near adult level, so they're figuring out how to have these like boundaries. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And as much as I want to full on strangle and choke, I do recognize that in the same way I recognize my 8-year-old is just like whatever's on her mind. It's just it's moving like, you know, light speed person. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I mean, the questions are what they are. So I'm a pretty patient dude, but I think it's capped with the hollering.
Yeah,
I think my patience kind of capped. Like it hits a little wall when.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna build a little plastic partition like bus drivers have.
like cabs.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
But just around me. Just around me and the radio.
Yeah. Well, around the radio. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. I don't even want to get into it. This show about to get bad. It's about to sound like a therapy session. All right, look. The other thing is, Myth, thank you for explaining Ran Through the Bronx just like Paul Newman.
Oh, well, as soon as I went to IMDb and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I've never seen that movie though.
Yeah.
And yes, I beat Fizz and Omega to the punch, I believe. I did it privately. I did it privately.
If they were they even trying?
Yeah. They're always trying to win.
So the answer to this is Paul Newman and Fort Apache, the Bronx.
Yep.
So he was in a movie called Fort Apache, the Bronx, and that's probably the reference that Diamond D was referring to.
Yeah,
the
for
Bronx,
sure.
just like Paul Newman. That is, man, mystery solved. So look, I'll keep putting this out there every week. If you have rap lyrics that need to be explained, please hit us up. Let us know what those lyrics are so that we can, get to the bottom of it. Because that was an unsolved mystery for me. I would have never, ever, ever figured that one out. So there you go.
It wasn't that,
It was. I wouldn't. First of all, I don't know no movies. So if Paul Newman didn't run through the Death Star, I wasn't gonna figure that one out.
Yeah. Well, I was guessing it had something to do with salad dressing. So who knows?
That's what I thought initially. Like, salad dressing give you the runs? All right, y'all. Let's get to the other side. Kevin, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Rap Sucks Radio. Blah, 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 blah.
What up, y'all? You are live on Rap Sucks Radio with your homeboy Trek Life and your fam, Kev Sakota.
Contacts Malone.
Contacts Malone. Yeah, was he wearing glasses in the video? You might be right about that.
Oh, I know. That's how I knew he was falling off.
Yo, thank y'all for tuning in, man. We appreciate each and every one of y'all. If you would like to catch past episodes of our show, you can go to rapsucksradio.com or any of your favorite podcasting platforms. And if you would like to catch us on your television, go to BTSN Behind the Scenes Network. That's btsn.watch online, or download the app or channel on your Roku or any of your Amazon Fire devices. Click on the channel. We are right there with plenty of other dope content. BTSN Behind the Scenes Network. We want in. On social media, you can check us out, RSR Podcast on Facebook or Rap Sucks Radio on Instagram. All right. Title of this episode, Kev. You want to run it or you want me to run it?
You go ahead.
You ain't hip hop.
That was good.
You know what I mean?
That was good.
Yeah.
One take.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
All right, so let's start with topic number one, Kev. Glasses Malone, West Coast MC, right? Cash Money Records.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah. Glasses said that I'm not hip hop. That's topic number one.
Hey.
All right, reason why is because Glasses Malone suggested rap artists who a rap artist that comes from middle class neighborhoods are not hip hop. That rap artists who comes from middle class neighborhood are not hip hop. That sentence did not edit very well on my behalf, just to be fair. All right, source for this is a. Yeah, I was like, I should have definitely reread that. So yeah, he said that artists that come from middle class neighborhoods are not hip hop. Source for this is the Bootleg Kev show. The players involved, the Glasses Malone and Bootleg Kev. All right, so just to sort of run it down because there is no article here. In a conversation about Drake and Kanye West, Glasses suggested that because that hip hop is street urban art. Street urban expression, if you will, and that those that are not from the street technically are doing pop music, not hip hop music. His dilemma here, Kev, being that he actually really likes Kanye's music and he feels like Kanye is important expression, so he doesn't know if Kanye should or shouldn't fit in this category, where it seems like by the end of the segment he actually just decided that Kanye was more pop music than hip hop. Right? And lastly, there are some comments that he made that I actually kind of agree with. Not entirely, but there is one comment, a sort of a shot fire that I actually do really, 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 really invariably heavily agree with. But aside from that, yeah. Kev, I'll go on and bounce past it to you. It's not a lot of meat there as far as the actual article or reading or anything itself, but the commentary might have some stuff you could jump on.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I've already made mistake number one because I realized he was wearing glasses in the video. I have not watched the video, though. I'm just looking at a still image of the video.
He's also the homie, by the way. I do want to mention
that's the thing. I've never met Glasses.
Yeah.
So,
Good
but he's certainly friend of a lot of friends, and, But yeah, so I have no frame of reference for, some people, it's like, oh, he's always talking trash, whatever, like, like even if you like him, right? But I don't know him. But I thought that, because I think Fizz posted something about it where did he also say something about rappers who grew up with a mom and a dad? Was that part of the conversation as well? Like,
there was a lot of different criteria that was sort of being broken down because Kev was asking questions or sort of challenging this, and in his challenges, a lot of things came up. Like, for example, one of Glass's responses to sort of to Kanye was that Kanye's first major record was about getting in a car accident. He was like, with car insurance, like, who in the hood has car insurance? And I'm like, I'm not sure if that's the best.
You're talking about like forensic detective work 30 years later. It's like, wow, you really cracked the case there, buddy.
Yeah, I was like,
good look. Since then he's been quoting Hitler and stuff like that. So maybe there's a couple other issues other than, car insurance. He's down with the State Farm or whatever. It's like, come on.
Right, basically. He also mentioned like Bootleg Kev asked him, he said, yo, talking about Kanye writing a song about working in the mall and how that doesn't relate. And he said, well, people in the hood don't work in the mall. He's like, nah, we don't have jobs in the mall. And it's like, wait a minute. And then he proceeded to sort of try to explain these things in and out in a way. So it's a very weird crafting of a point. Like, okay, how did we get here and why did we get here? I actually suggest, and this is going to sound crazy, we will post a link to the video, I imagine, right? I actually suggest people watch the 35-minute report. I think by about 20 minutes you get the point. But there were people in the comment section that agree with, yo, he's absolutely right, and et cetera, et cetera. My thing is, Kev, just as a blanket statement, I'd imagine you disagree. But is there any point where you say, yo?
Well, first, let me ask you, what was the point? By the way, I apologize to the audience. Trek told me that we were talking. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but Trek told me that we were going to talk about this about 5 minutes before.
That's fair.
We started recording.
No, we started the show early.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
That's when the rundowns get complete. I'm just doing laundry all day. What do you want me to do?
What'd you say? You're doing laundry all day?
Just doing laundry all day.
You ain't hip-hop.
Yeah, exactly.
Hip-hop people don't have clean clothes. What are you talking about?
It wasn't at a coin up, so it wasn't hip-hop. People in the hood don't have washer dryers. What are you talking about?
So, what did he say that you agreed with? What was the point that?
He had mentioned that during the blog era is when it all sort of changed. Because he said, these sort of middle-class bloggers had taken over the I'm paraphrasing, by the way, had taken over sort of the gatekeeping of hip-hop and sort of changed the view into the sound that they were more comfortable with or more palatable with. And I actually do agree with that. I feel like if there was a time where hip hop took a turn for the worst entirely, I think it was the blog era. I do. I really think that there was too much power handed over to those individuals. And I have a few people I know in that arena, and I would tell them to their face, like, y'all were far more trash than an artist around that time. And I agree with that. I feel like there was he said like middle class, college educated. Like there was this sort of collegiate view of hip hop that showed up, and it was articulated in such a way that it incited a group of people that probably shouldn't have had as large of a voice as they ultimately had.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
This is the thing, is that, first of all, to sort of, I don't even know if you asked me a question or whether or not I agree with it. I don't care. None of this has changed any parts of my day, today or any other day. But it seems like we happen to be, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say that we're experts in hip hop.
I'm an expert.
So, I don't think anybody would be like, no, you're not, whatever. And if you do, again, I don't care. But, and I say that mostly to say I'm not an expert in other forms of music, but it seems like the same thing, other genres went through the same thing. Jazz has constantly gone through the same thing. Punk, definitely, if anything, is almost like a kindred spirit to hip hop, in my opinion, just because of the spirit of it.
He said they're like God brothers, punk. And hip-hop.
Okay, so that's interesting. But, and I bring that up just to say that, grunge, all these different, who knows what, rock and roll is a stolen commodity. As far as I'm concerned, there's problematic issues inherent in that history as well. But if we're talking about hip hop, it's 50 years of hip hop history. It's like before the blog era, same things were happening. You just didn't know who the people were that were causing the problems because they were behind the scenes or at a record label or whatever, or they were at a radio station, program director, Hip hop just happens to be one of the few art forms where a solid chunk of subject matter, like if you were to break the top 50 subjects talked about in a rap record down through the years, the business side of the rap business is a way bigger part of it to me, I think, than just about any other genre. It's gotta be. Right? Where artists in every genre would talk about, I like this, I hate this, these guys are great to work with because not all labels are like this or whatever, when in interviews. But rappers would be rapping about it.
Sure. I think that's part of the boring era and I'm way dissing Trek Life here. But I thought that was one of the things that made rap boring eventually.
Yeah, most people don't care. But, so, I'm not sure what, I think you could name any of a million different factors that would make somebody say, well, you're not, super hip hop. You're not true hip hop because you did this, you did that, or whatever. It's like, all right, whatever. Like, are we going to battle?
I was waiting for AC, the program director, to show up. Here's my take on what he's saying is, I do not think, for better or for worse, hip hop should ever lose its connection to for the lack of a better explanation, the hood. It should not ever, right? I myself, growing up in West Covina, have never shied away from the fact that I'm not from, or at least spent my high school years in what people would consider the hood. And when I did live in South Central, it wasn't like I was like, putting in work and then we had to move because I was a happy-go-lucky kid, 2-parent home, brother and sister that was in college when I left, when my family left. Not that people from the hood don't go to college. I'm just saying, it's not like we were rich when we moved. Like none of these kind of factors kicked in, but I don't shy away from that. I never have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I also don't entirely play it up. Like, by play it up, I mean I don't be like, I'm not like them, I'm like me, and that's how I am. I'm not like the bad kids. It's just like, okay, stop. You know what I mean? So I'm very much aware of how, as an art, the voice still needs to, the most powerful voice, the strongest voice should still be from the hood. I feel like that should be the case. And if you lose that, then you lose, to me, one of the most valuable portions of hip hop, which is a voice for the voiceless, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, some would argue, and I think that they would have a fair argument, that a lot of that voice is not like Chuck D no more. It's not like the speaking for or on behalf of is speaking to build. That's a reasonable argument. I would agree with that. But I still wouldn't sacrifice the voice for any reason, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I disagree with his opinion of what hip hop is, which is, you know, urban street expression or whatever he called it, right? My only question to him is, what exactly is urban expression to you, and why is it only reserved for people from specific areas? Because there are plenty of things that are happening to us as individuals that are not necessarily related to drugs, gangs, you know, or whatever, right? There are plenty of things happening in the city. There are people working at the mall that are struggling with. There are people working at the DMV that are struggling with. There are people that are, if you were to go to Blow the Good Life, they from the city or whatever, but that they struggling with different things, or writing about, or enjoying different things. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I have experiencing different things, right? What exactly is the definition? Because it seems so broad. You know what I mean? It seems like so many things are happening that if you're going to funnel down expression into 3 to 5 different subjects, then really nobody's hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the other thing, because, you know, when I say we're experts, it's not meant as a challenge or you know, certainly not a brag. It's just that we've been doing this for a long time. We've been involved in this for a long, long time. And we know a lot of the people who are not just making the music, or, you know, rapping, but also producing, DJing, you know,
promoting,
promoting at the record labels, you know, graph dudes, dancers, you know, and if we just talk about rap, we could, and I wouldn't want to be challenged with coming up with the names, but we could think of, if I said, think of 5 people who seem like the hardest dudes who've ever touched a mic, who, you know, grew up in had a decent upbringing and, you know, lived in a middle class neighborhood or whatever. It's like, you could name them. You could also name some people who might be considered, quote unquote, like a soft kind of rapper who did not grow up in the nicest environment, you know?
Sure.
But just decided that was the style they were going to take. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, R&B cats who were coming up in like the 60s and 70s are harder than most rappers that have ever touched a mic.
A lot of them were. That's true.
You know, for a variety of reasons, you know. Maybe the neighborhood they grew up, but maybe because they were, you know, getting shot at when they were going, you know, on tour in certain parts of this country. So, you know, I'm not sure what the exact ultimate point is. I would imagine that, I have to listen I would like to listen to the conversation and, you know, put it in context after I've expressed all my opinions about what he said without hearing it. But, you know, I would imagine if I would have said that, which is possible, said something similar to that, afterward I might have said that was not worth it was not a conversation worth having.
There wasn't a lot of fallout to it, maybe because people, he may not be polarizing enough of a figure or what have you. Like if Charlemagne said it, it might have a different, you know, weight to it. But I remember one of the first kind of online arguments I got into. I remember I just expressed that I was much more of a fan of Tribe than I was of Gangstar. I didn't say I didn't like Gangstar. I just said, And the challenge was like, well, Tribe is like not really hood music, Gangstar is. And I was like, you might want to look into some backgrounds before you make some statements like that, right? And so, this goes on for a couple of different posts. And finally the dude was like, well, Tribe Called Quest is the type of artist that you see perform on like a college campus and with a bunch of, nerds and gangstars where you see, this whatever, in a rough, hardcore hip hop scene or whatever. And I was like, what's interesting? First time I saw Gangstar was out of college. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, it's odd, right? You're saying that, then it was like, I'll beat you up and fight. Right? Well, a person got upset. But it's true. The first time I saw Gangstar perform was on a college campus. So here, my thing has always been, exclusivity is important to people, right? And the ability to find ways to deny others access to things is always going to exist. You know what I'm saying? You not no real hooper. You never played and played ball at Rucker Park. You not no real MC. You never freestyled, right? You can't freestyle. You're not a real MC. You can't write a song. You're not a real rapper. You never ate government cheese. You ain't never struggled. You know what I mean? Like this thing about finding these niche ways to deny people access to things that we all kind of share interest in is always a thing. I could give you a real, and it's funny because I could tell you, close friends of mine have fallen into this. It's always funny when you are from or have moved to the suburbs as a black male. At some point, someone moves back to LA and then starts telling you how you haven't experienced blackness like they have because they innocent. I'm like, you lived next door to me for 15 years. Like, all of a sudden, your life is this vastly different experience. I mean, I guess, but again, it's this need to deny this shared access and make yourself more attached to it than others. And I think it's a weird need, It's
a weird human trait, right? And it goes beyond hip hop,
It does.
I see it in all genres of music. I see it look at how comedians talk about each other when somebody blows up. They hate them for the most part. Automatically. If someone's getting some success, they'll find a reason to say why, they're terrible or whatever, right? And it's usually somebody you've never heard of, and I know who Glasses Malone is. I assume that the average person who considers themselves a serious fan of hip hop may not be familiar with him, but he's achieved a level of success that gets him, gets people wanting to ask him questions. He's going to answer the questions. It is what it is, but again, doesn't really change anything about my opinion,
Well, yeah, it's impossible for him as an individual, and there's no army enough to stop people from being hip hop. That's why I never really understood that argument. Like, people would go to the show in cargo camo and stand there with their arms folded and unwashed t-shirts and tell everybody who was and who wasn't more hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, but you're not. You don't have that. You can't do it's. Bringing race into, you can't tell somebody they're more or less or whatever race that you don't have that ability. All you could do is feel that way. What is most striking when these moments happen? Again, one thing I do want to note is whenever you hear an opinion like this, it comes with a lot of artist hate. But I challenge you to find him hating a single artist. He had no hate for Drake whatsoever, no hate for Kanye, no hate for any of the artists he was talking about. He was just stating in his opinion, it was very matter of fact, that this didn't equal that, which was impressive because usually there's all of this vitriol that goes along with it.
And that's the thing that one of the things that used to bother me is like that, you know, and it would bother me just because I was hearing people who I respected express an opinion, but they weren't even going on a podcast and expressing, you know, they were just like, I don't like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I got over a long time ago, like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. If I do, that doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong, or it doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong. I like it, right. You don't like it, whatever. If I really care, or, you know, or I really value your opinion, I might be like, well, what is it about it that, you know, that you don't dig? But I rarely even did that, you know? The thing is that the classification thing, it's been going on forever, right? That ain't no hip hop or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Or you're not qualified to say what hip hop is. Listen, and then in the same breath, damn near, that same group of people, of which I've been a member at certain times,
Me too.
Will then get pissed off about, fuck the Grammys. They don't appreciate hip hop, or they're not recognizing hip hop. It's like, well, in one breath, you say you don't want, that nobody can be involved. Mm-hmm. And then you mad because the Grammys, don't want anybody but Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff up on stage. It's like, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, I had this. It's so funny, man. I had this conversation today with the homie about the being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you know, who should have been inducted on a rap behalf and who has not. And I kept saying, but it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, this isn't a qualifiable hip hop. This is a sales thing. This is a success thing. This is not necessarily like, at least from a hip hop perspective, they're not digging through and finding the diamonds in the rough and saying they belong in this Hall of Fame. This is more or less a Grammy type thing, right? And I was fine with it because I don't really see being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as anything but a kind of not pop selling, but a high selling achievement, not necessarily a dopest rapper achievement. Like, I guess to cut the fat off of what I'm saying, you're not inducted into the Hip Hop Hall of Fame because you're the best rapper. I mean, I'm sorry, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because you're the best rapper. That's not the criteria that they're following. So why even feel any way about it? Because that's not where this is going to come from. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's sort of the same thing about Glasses Malone's statement. That's his opinion, and he's definitely entitled to his opinion. But it's an opinion that holds zero weight because there is nothing anyone can do to make anyone more or less hip-hop than they are. And I don't even know how to measure such a thing.
And that's the thing. That's kind of why I say it doesn't change anything about my days, because if I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I do have an opinion about this is hip hop, that's not hip hop. I don't. Sure. I mean, when I was DJing, you know, doing the radio show every week, mm-hmm. there was certainly a little bit of a responsibility to like curate what I was playing because I knew that people were listening to hear the newest hip hop. Right. And I would certainly get calls with like, why are you playing that? I'm like, cause I like it. That's not hip hop. I was like, I hear you. I think it is. This is why. I would have that conversation, right? Or whatever, you know, when I would have the time. It didn't happen a lot. And that's why people kept coming back, right? Sure. And that's why people would request records that they knew I would play. And they were all the records that you would think of when you think of all the hip hop artists that we loved. But like, you know, getting older, it's like we've talked plenty of times about how there are certain things that are rap music or black music, you know, contemporary. And I'm sure these artists will call themselves hip hop or rap, you know, and I don't like a lot of it, you know, but I can hear something that, like, I don't know. I assume that everybody our age, if you hear the name Jack Harlow, you're going to say, I hate that dude, whatever, you know, like you might get some negative feedback from people who are ghosts like us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I hear him. I'm like, at least with him, I understand why people like his music. You know, I don't need to listen to it all the time, but I'm like, and there are some artists like that. And then there's some artists where I'm like, I don't understand why So many people
what is
really
this
love
even
that,
doing?
you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
doesn't need to go any further than that. I'm not on their marketing team. I'm not running their tour.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a young man. That's a young man's game, if I'm being honest with you. The I'm gonna make this person like this and dislike that. That's very much a young man's game. The older you get, the more you like, look, man. I don't have no minutes for this.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. I thought it was an interesting thing, and I mean, you know, if you're interested in it enough, I know most people, but I ain't trying to hear that. But if you want, I'd say check out the video. There's a 2-hour one, which I wouldn't watch if you paid me to, but then there's like a 35-minute one where it's specifically on this subject, a clip, and that's the one that we'll post. Yeah,
so like I said, I'm happy to give my opinion now, and then I'll watch the video and then keep my opinion to myself.
Well, yeah.
Or what I'll do is I'll watch it, and then when my wife is driving, as she's trying to merge across 3 lanes of traffic, I'll be like, oh, and freak her out with my response. My more detailed, qualified response to Glasses Malone's opinions.
Good grief. Yo, Kev, topic number 2. Akon song part 2 is my topic title for this.
Uh-oh.
All right. The reason for this is a woman was accidentally locked in an OC jail lobby overnight, Kev.
Oh, boy.
CBS News reports this. Players involved. I don't know. I just said the OC. Orange County Sheriff's Department has announced that it will make department changes after a woman was accidentally locked inside of the lobby of a jail overnight last week. The woman was trapped inside of the Theo Lacey jail lobby on November 4th when she arrived to visit an inmate before visiting hours ended at 5 p.m. that day. The inmate she was visiting, however, was unavailable at the time, so she was directed to the lobby. While waiting, the woman fell asleep. Kev? And was locked inside.
Got to be real tired to fall asleep in there. They probably kept her waiting a long time, though.
Maybe so. Arriving staff members found a woman around 8 a.m. the next day, freeing her from the lobby. She was treated for a cut she sustained during the incident, but was otherwise believed to be okay. It was unclear how she cut herself. Cell phones are not allowed inside of the jail, so she was unable to make any calls. There was no other type of public phone located in the lobby. And what Orange County Sheriff's Department said, that is being rectified now. As a result of the bizarre instance, the Sheriff's Department is implementing an emergency phone for the public in the visiting area, and there will be procedural changes that require a supervisor to do a check of the lobby periodically overnight.
No cameras in the lobby, I take
I guess not. I guess not. Wow.
This is crazy. So she got off with time served?
Yo, what's the movie Night at the Museum? Is that the movie?
Oh, yeah.
This is like the worst version of that movie. The worst version. Like, the worst version. I can't imagine. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about jail. How about that for the start of a sentence? Nah, the thing that's always bugged me out about jail is that the doors don't open. Shut up. Don't tell me that that's a stupid thing. But I'm just saying, like, nah, think about it. Get up from whatever you doing right now, and get up, even if you at work and and you got to stay at work and you like, well, Trek, I got to be at work. No, get up and go to the bathroom, open the door and close it on your own. And realize, like, that's not an option. Like, yo, when it's time for lunch, like, you go to the elevator or whatever you walk out if you're at work. You could just walk in and out of doors.
Yeah.
In jail, it's like someone has to like unlink.
You go to the lunchroom, you pull out your fish, you put it in the microwave like an American.
Like a true American. You ruin the lunchroom and you go back to your desk to surf the net and pretend like you're working. Like, the thing is that so to be trapped in the lobby of, I would go insane. I would go insane. I'm like, yo, sometimes I just get up and walk around my house for the sake of doing it. For literally no good reason. I just be like, I'm about to walk to the kitchen.
I want to hear it again. I'm gonna play it back later. You said the problem I have with jails is that the doors don't open.
The doors don't open. Like, you can't just mob out, fam. Like, all right, look, after this show, I'm gonna edit this video, or I'm gonna edit the audio, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna check on my family. I'm gonna go sit on the couch. I'm gonna turn Law and Order on. Then I'm gonna be like, dang, it's too late to eat. But then I'm gonna get up and walk into the kitchen. I'm gonna open the refrigerator and stare at it for 20 seconds. Then I'm gonna walk back. Maybe I'll drive somewhere. Then I'm gonna walk downstairs and open the garage door. I could just go, fam. I could just go. I understand that that's the entire point, but that is the point for me. Like, so I just can't bounce.
This opinion may not be popular with Glasses Malone, but doors that don't open, not hip hop.
Not hip hop. Or they are hip hop, because that would be an urban experience, I suppose. I had a dude tell me that.
You remember what was it, Lifers Group?
Nah, what's that? That
was I want to say they were on Hollywood Basic Records, but they were all cats that were like in for life.
Oh yeah. I do remember that.
I believe, unless it was all a bunch of bullshit, but I don't think it was. Like, yeah, they're hip hop.
Some things in hip hop got a little too real, like a little too like not entertaining. More like, okay, wait a minute, nah, like. There's no dance to go along with this. There's no walking that we can do.
Lobby lock. Lobby
lock up, yo. Yeah, I wonder what kind of lawsuit comes out of this. How do you cut your hand in this situation, though? I mean, I don't know. Let's provide some theories. Like, was she trying desperately to get out?
Probably.
Kev, have you ever been anywhere you wanted to be for longer than 5 minutes? Like anywhere you didn't want to be for longer than 5 minutes?
All the time.
Doesn't it feel like 7 days? I'm just trying to tell you, like, I'm just saying to be like.
At my age, though, now, yes, when I was my daughter's age, yes, feel like 7 years. Mm-hmm. Right now, the key variable is, how quiet is it?
No.
Because if it's quiet, hey.
I don't want to hear none of that. I'm not rolling with you at all, fam. Bro. I'm furious. I could be at the beach. If I didn't want to be there, I'm furious. I'm furious. Near inconsolable, depending upon the situation. Like, furious. If I didn't want to be at that joint, and I'm there against my will or whatever, against my better judgment, whatever, furious.
And she didn't even get her visitation.
Didn't even get to visit.
It's cold, man.
Didn't even get to visit.
Cold-blooded. I feel bad for her, dude.
Hand,
Maybe she fell off the bench she was sleeping on, and
wait, how do you not figure out how she cut herself? So she didn't just tell you? Like, how'd you cut yourself? Oh, I was reaching for something and cut. Like, what is she?
I'll tell you how I cut myself. When I realized that you dumbasses locked me in here all night, I smacked myself in the face so hard.
Oh man, I'm done. All right, look, yeah, y'all be careful with them visitations, man. Don't fall asleep in the waiting room. That don't make no sense.
Yeah, stay woke.
I know there was like a booth that she fell asleep in or whatever, but all right, that's enough for us. I am your homeboy Trek Life. That dude over there is Fam Kev Sakota, man.
Yeah, that's me. Hip hop.
Locked up She won't let me out. Won't let me out. That song was so dumb too.
What is he doing?
I don't know. Accusing black people of not achieving success because they're criminals while he himself was.
Oh.
The problem with black people is that black people commit too much crime. All right. Everyone settle down.
Oh.
Let's put the opinions away.
Oh, Akon.
And make music. All right. Anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. My name is Trek Life. That's your fam, Kev Dakota. We are Rap Sucks Radio. And if you would like to catch our past episodes, go to rapsucksradio.com and any of your favorite podcasting platforms. You can also check us out on social media at Rap Sucks Radio on Instagram and RSR Podcast on Facebook. We are out of here like last year. On the count of three, we say peace. 1, 2, 3. Peace.
Peace.
We out, y'all.
See you.